Welcome to People and Profit. I'm Stephen Carroll. This week we're looking back at the year in business in France and forward to what 2020 might hold. Coming up, will the massive strikes over reforms to the French pension system continue, or will the government be forced into a compromise? The disruption means a difficult end to the year for many businesses in France. Should we expect an economic downturn in 2020? And we'll be hearing from two entrepreneurs about their big business goals for the coming year. Well, to discuss all of that, I'm joined in studio today by Sonia Rameau, who's the founder and manager of the online contemporary art gallery and marketplace Artistics. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
From the Wall Street Journal, we have Nick Kostrop, reporter from the Paris Bureau. Thank you to you for being with us as well. And Raphael Dutene, who's the co-founder of the juice maker Yummy. Thank you very much as well for joining us in studio. Nick, I'm going to start with you. These strikes have caused big disruption to the French economy. Do you see the government backing down over this?
No, absolutely not. I mean, President Emmanuel Macron, he's basically staked a large amount of his credibility on not backing down at times like this. He's managed to reform labour laws. He managed to get through the yellow vest process. And for him, he doesn't want to lose his support, particularly on the right, going into the 2022 election if he runs again. So no, I absolutely don't see the government backing down.
Is this a similar challenge to the Gilets jaunes, do you think?
Yes, in some ways. I mean, I think part of the game here is he needs to peel away support for the protests. So he's going to try to, for example, get certain age groups not to support the protest, or get certain professions like, teachers or hospital workers not to support the protest. So it is, in a way, a similar challenge. At the same time, the unions are seeing Macron's reforms kind of pick away at France's safety net. And for them, I think they've really said that this is now enough. And this is really the battle they've chosen. So I think that, it's cumulative. So he's passed a number of serious reforms, and we're now at a point where they've said that enough is enough, and they need to stop the kind of picking away of France's safety net.
Okay, Sonia, when you're someone who runs a business, there's a lot of disruption around the city and around the country as a result of these strikes. Have you seen disruption to your business?
Well, yes, we are based in Paris, so that's very, very complicated for the employees to come to our place. But we have the chance to, we are lucky to be able to work from home. So some of them are working from home at some point. For our business, I must say that it's been not that bad because we had a higher turnover than last year. But it is complicated because people think that they probably will not receive their piece of art on time. And that's a big, big problem.
So deliveries is
Deliveries,
a
yes.
Yeah.
So they don't think that it will be possible, so they don't risk to buy art online. And of course, some of them do. And fortunately, we make 75% of our business outside from France this year. And so foreign people are still buying from us, and they are pretty confident that we will be able to deliver. And we have more than 50% of our artists who are foreigners, some from foreign countries. So which means that the piece of arts are going from their studio to the amateur or to the collector directly. So it's easier when it goes, for example, from England to Germany or from England to the States, then they are not impacted by the strikes in France.
Yeah, Raphael, you've a fresh fruit business, so I imagine supply chain is a big concern when there is disruption.
So yeah, logistics is an obvious downside of this of the strikes. We have a few days to sell our products between the time it's actually produced and the time we get it delivered to our customers, so retailers and wholesalers. And it's an obvious big negative side effect. Obviously, a lot of our employees are working from home nowadays, which is great for them.
And you're able to do that. That doesn't cause disruption to your...
That's kind of easy. The only thing is that we have a few restaurants in Paris, and it's really impacting our business, our staff, our customers. The good news is that we're seeing a lot of new customers, people who would usually take the underground and who have now to walk to work. And so they drop in for a juice or for a cup of coffee, which is great.
Are you concerned if this drags into 2020 of further impact?
I think the atmosphere will be impacted if it lasts, and people. I mean, we're not a seasonal business, so we don't do much of a revenue at the end of the year. It's quite a linear business. But obviously, if people, I mean, the more time you spend commuting, the less time you spend doing other things. And I think for most people nowadays, they're spending twice as much time commuting than they would usually do. So if it drags on, yes, it would probably impact our business significantly.
Nick, this was all in all actually quite a good year for the French economy. We had growth continued throughout the year. There were headlines about France being the new engine of European growth. You know, will this impact the end of the year? Are we going to see, I mean, the central bank is saying that it won't, but, you know, are we going to see much of an impact on what was a relatively good year?
No, I think for now, no, we're not going to see much of an impact. I think you're completely right that it was a relatively good year for the French economy. I mean, unemployment is now down to 8% or so. And it's what Macron's trying to do, essentially, it's not a fiscal stimulus. He's not pumping money into the economy. He's really trying to change behaviours. It's structural reforms. And so, you know, I'm not sure to what extent we've really seen that impact the economy so far. I think towards the end of the Hollande years, anyway, the economy was starting to do better. The unemployment rate was coming down. But it's certainly going to be interesting in the coming year to see whether his structural reforms are having an impact, whether businesses are able to hire more. And whether that's going to be quick enough to help his election chances in 2022.
Because it's the long game when it comes to structural reforms as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sonia, you know, has 2019 been a good year for your business? Have you felt the economic growth impact in your sales?
Well, it's been much better than last year. We are about 40% growth on our business this year, but it's still difficult. But there is a lot of, how can I say, we are very positive for the next years, as in the online art market, there is a study by Hiscox that says that the online art market will grow 15% every year in the next 5 years. So there is something to do, and we'll try to get this from the market.
When we talk about kind of lower unemployment, Raphael, lower unemployment, reasonable economic growth, do you see that sort of thing impacting on your business? Have you had a good year?
We've had a great year 2019 across the board, and most significantly in our distribution business, so retailers selling our products, as people are shifting towards a more plant-based, how would you say?
Lifestyle, I suppose.
Lifestyle,
people are reducing meat consumption.
And we're offering exactly that. And so 2020 will be a year where we're venturing more into outside of juice and into plant-based to-go solutions, which are completely in line with what people want nowadays. So I'm like Sonia, quite bullish for 2020.
And is that your big goal for the year, more into that direction?
That's one of our big goals. We'll be opening new restaurants in Paris. I will be able to tell you more about it next year, but those are some big goals.
Okay, and have you got big goals for your business in 2020?
Well, yes, we will try to double our turnover this year and next year. And for doing that, we will try to double the number of artists that we are showing on Artistics, if we can. And also, we will try to make a better visualization process. We already do some videos for each artist, which is selected on Artistics, 360 degrees view for sculptures, and we are now introducing 5D, 5 dimensions for paintings. So we will try to make that much better for the amateur to understand better the artist, and also to be able to perceive better the painting, the sculpture, or the photography. So
and you mentioned that you're developing the international angle of your business as well. Do you see your growth coming from France or internationally in 2020?
Well, I think it will come more from abroad. Unfortunately, I would love it to come from France more and more, but I think people are a little bit less shy in the United States or in other countries, north countries, for example, than in France, where the market is growing, but more slowly. Yeah.
Raphael, have you plans to expand internationally?
We'll probably go into Belgium and Switzerland next year. So 2019, we're really focused on strengthening our business in France. And so 2020 will be a year we'll be going to see our neighbours.
Very good. Nice to hear. Nick, coming back to you, you spent a lot of this year writing about the French auto industry, upheaval, Fiat Chrysler and PSA, the owner of Peugeot, going into a merger process. Of course, everything that's happened with the replacement of Carlos Ghosn at Renault. Will there be more upheaval in the auto industry in 2020?
Yes, I think in a word. I mean, it's huge upheaval because so we've got some very tight emissions rules coming into force in Europe in in 2020, and so car makers are having to invest a lot in electric cars, for example, in hybrids to meet these tighter emissions rules. And because they're having to spend so much on R&D, you see these car makers kind of trying to join forces. So as you've just mentioned, we've had Fiat Chrysler, the owner of the Jeep brand, the Dodge brand, Ram, who's teaming up with Peugeot, who obviously Peugeot, Citroën, Opel, all these brands coming together under one company, and part of the idea for that is to spread R&D costs to make sure they can invest in future technologies. So I think we'll have plenty more of that. It's also at a time when the auto market is generally declining. And
that's a huge employer in France as well, so that could be a really interesting challenges for those companies.
It's a huge employer, tens of thousands of people, both companies. Two of Europe's largest car makers. So it will be a very interesting challenge.
Any other sectors we should be watching out for in 2020? Scoops you have in the pipeline?
So scoops I'll keep for the Wall Street Journal. But the one other sector maybe to mention is the luxury sector for France, because you take a company like LVMH, Bernard Arnault's conglomerate, that is now worth some 200 billion euros in market cap. It's big in Volkswagen, which is Europe's largest car maker. It's big in HSBC, Europe's largest bank. And so these guys in the stock market, they've seen incredible growth. Same with Hermès, same with Kering, which owns brands like Gucci. Mm-hmm. And so now, I was looking the other day, and of France's top 7 most valuable companies, you have 3 luxury companies now. So looking for more growth possibly in 2020. Notwithstanding the trade war and other potential.
Of course, many other potential movements on the horizon. Okay, Nick Kostoff from the Wall Street Journal, thank you very much. Thank you to Sonia, to Raphael as well for joining us. That's it from us for now. You can listen back to the show, though, as a podcast on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, and you can get in touch with us on social media as well. You'll find us on Facebook at France 24 Business, and you can find me on Twitter at NewStephen. Until next time, thanks for watching.